Hey guys, I'm sitting down with Chip Keating today. So Chip's husband, father, businessman, former state trooper, and now runner for governor. Chip, thank you very much for taking a little time to visit with me.
Well, I'm honored to be here.
You bet. Man, I kind of want to just get to know you. So if you would, just tell us a little bit about your background, where you born and raised, and your family history.
So I was born in Tulsa, raised really in Oklahoma City. I graduated from high school in Oklahoma City. Obviously, I don't shy away from it. I've never held public office, but my father was the 25th governor of Oklahoma, Frank Keating. And so I grew up in Oklahoma City. We moved over here from Tulsa in 1995 when he won. I was a freshman in high school, and pretty soon thereafter, the Oklahoma City bombing happened 3 months into his first term. So that was a real defining moment for me. It's obviously when you come from a political family, your mom and dad very busy being the governor. I was 15 at the time, but spent a lot of time around troopers. And so that exposure being around troopers, I just really had an attachment to them. Always knew I wanted to be in law enforcement, but the exposure to the highway patrol and then coupled with the Oklahoma City bombing, that's when I really saw first responders running to danger, not from it. I knew I wanted to be one of them. And so growing up in Oklahoma City, graduated from Bishop McGinnis High School. If I were old enough at the time, I would have joined the Highway Patrol right away after the Oklahoma City bombing. I knew right then and there, and the exposure, I kind of viewed them as my big brothers, that I wanted to be a trooper. Came from a family where my parents said, you need to go to college, and they really pushed college on me. And so they said, as long as you go to college, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get out of there. I said, so if I graduate in 3 years, you'll all be good. And they said, yeah, that'd be fine. So I graduated from college in 3 years and immediately came home. Didn't even have a chance to go across the stage in college because I started the 53rd Oklahoma Highway Patrol Academy first part of May 2001, about 3 weeks prior to walking across the stage. So they mailed me my diploma, and I was in the OHP Academy when everybody else was walking across the stage.
How many normally, I see your class picture up here, are there normally 40 or 50 in each class? Is it annual?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. It depends on, you don't have to have a college degree, but the size of an academy is all predicated on legislative funding for a year. And so, no, they're not annually. Unfortunately, they need to be. And I know we're going to get into some of the policy issues. Right now, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol's 400 troopers short. Wow. And so that is not something you can just snap your fingers and fix those numbers overnight. And so it's years and years of not funding academies, not making public safety a priority. So my class started with about 61 cadets, and we graduated with 34. Wow. And so pretty normal to lose 20 to 35%. It's a pretty rigorous live-in academy. You don't go home. Very high stress. It's one of the best experiences I ever went through, though, in subsequently becoming a trooper. But going through patrol school was a really, really important milestone in my life. And frankly, because of who my dad was at the time, it was especially harder on me. The TAC officers in there wanted to eat me and kill me. Sure. And so, I like being the underdog, and you got to work that much harder. And so
your expectations were a little higher.
They were a little bit higher. So I was treated a little bit differently, not in a good way.
So were you the first in your family to go into law enforcement?
No, my dad was actually an FBI agent.
Okay, yeah.
So he was an FBI agent for 3 years. So there's always been a love and a desire to be in law enforcement. My dad served under Presidents Reagan and Bush, and so he served in a lot of the federal law enforcement oversight capacities when I was a young kid. So I had exposure to Secret Service agents, ATF agents, DEA agents. I've been around them, and those were heroes I looked up to.
Wow. So you knew going into college you were coming back, that's what you wanted to do?
Not only did I know, I came home nearly every weekend and went did ride-alongs with troopers.
Really?
I really wanted to be a trooper. It couldn't happen fast enough.
Now, were you married, or was this on the radar yet when you were a trooper?
So my wife, Brittany, and I have been married 20 years now, but we started dating our freshman year in college. And so, for the longest time she's known me, she knew you were going to be a trooper. And so that's what's neat about my wife married me as a trooper. I went into the private sector subsequently, but it takes a lot. I mean, for your spouse that kid gives you a kiss at night, not knowing if, you're going to come home at night. And this was before we had kids. But that's why I have such an admiration for people
Sure.
that wear a uniform and literally selflessly potentially put their lives on the line day in and day out to keep us safe.
Yeah, I can't imagine pulling up to a car in the middle of the night. You don't know what you're going up to, right?
You don't. And so the nearly 4 years I was a trooper, I worked the hoot shift, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so I told people jokingly when I was a trooper, I was scared of the daylight. I like the element of surprise at night, just from a tactical perspective. Working in the daylight, everybody can look in the mirror and know exactly where you are, but not at nighttime. So I enjoyed working at night, but a different element of people come out at night.
So your wife was supportive through you being a trooper, like you said, out at night? She never knew when she was going to get that call, or did you phase out of being a trooper because you started a family, or how did that become about when you?
No, so there came a period, and I had mentioned I'd always been interested in federal law enforcement service. So I applied and was accepted to become an ATF agent in 2005. And my wife, professionally, was our breadwinner. She married the patrol. Still today, you can't pay people in for our first responder world enough money.
Right.
You're not doing it for the money. And especially so back then. It was very low paying wages. I had 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. And my wife was she was clearly the breadwinner in the family. And so she went to college and had an energy management major, and she got into the oil and gas business as a landman. And so when I was accepted to the ATF, it was either, and they interview your significant other, and we had just gotten married. So this was 2005 when we got married. We'll have our 21st wedding anniversary this year. And when they interviewed her, they said, "Are you going to be okay moving to LA, Chicago, Miami, or New York?" And that was kind of an eye-opening time for us. Is this something we want to go do? And I have such an awesome, supportive wife. And Brittany said, "I'll follow you to the edge of the earth and back, but I'm going to have to find a different career." This was way before remote work and being able, oil and gas, you live in Texas or Oklahoma.
Yeah, as a landman, you're going to courthouse.
Exactly, not in those markets. So we made a decision, and, I got into the private sector, and I thought, we'll try the private sector. If I don't like it, I can always go back. If law enforcement is meant to be for me, and in hindsight and God's will, I've really been a part of law enforcement even my whole career, and what we do supporting behind the scenes. And so we do. And so we have a foundation that supports first responders in Oklahoma. And so really God had his hand on our plan. I didn't understand it at the time, but I followed it and never looked back. And I went into the oil and gas business, and the rest is history. But service, public service, giving back, philanthropically, civically, has always been something really important to my wife and I.
So did she, when y'all started to have kids, did she stay working, or did she stay home with kids? Or?
She initially was working, and then in 2010, she decided to do the most important job in the world, and that's raise our kiddos.
Yeah.
So now I have 3 kiddos. She's got the hardest job.
Yeah, no kids.
She does.
Y'all got 3 of them?
We do.
Ages?
I have a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and an 8-year-old daughter. So we're in the throes.
Yeah, you are.
We're in it. Yeah.
So does you served in the private sector, and you have since, and did you serve as public safety director, or what was that?
I did. So I've served on a lot of nonprofits, Salvation Army and Children's Hospital and OU Health, the Hospital Authority Trust, our law enforcement pension system. And then in 2019, Governor Stitt asked me to come serve as the Secretary of Public Safety. And I did that in 19 and 20. And if you heard me talking around the state, that's when I really realized how important courage and leadership is in the people that we elect to go hold positions. Because I served during George Floyd in the summer of 2020. That was a very, not just a difficult time for our country, it was difficult in Oklahoma. A lot of people, the outsiders, out-of-staters, came here to test our way of life and to test our rule of law. And leadership and courage really mattered, because unlike a lot of the other municipalities, we weren't kneeling with the Black Lives Matter. We activated the National Guard. We activated the Highway Patrol. And frankly, we were credited by President Trump as that's how you do it nationally. And so it reared its head here very briefly. Antifa's real. They came here, but we enforce the law. We don't do lawlessness, anarchists, looting, rioting. The stuff that we saw happen in 2020, it was tried here, but it didn't last here
The
long.
roadblocks, the riots.
You got it. And so that's when I went, it really matters who we have in office. That's not our way of life in Oklahoma.
Right.
And it could have been a very different outcome if we had the wrong leaders in office.
Yeah, and our families are out on those roads, and it does matter.
It does matter.
So does your wife, now you own your own business, or at what stage did you go out of?
I did. So I went into the private sector and learned the oil and gas business at Chesapeake Energy at the time when Aubrey McClendon was still running Chesapeake. And I went out on my own in 2009 and never looked back. And so I have a small E&P company, oil and gas company, and I do real estate investing. So I've been involved in a number of businesses that I've started, and I've just been very blessed along the way. But I've learned the value of hard work and never giving up. And especially two mentors in my life, my dad and then Aubrey McClendon. I mean, Aubrey he was a real builder.
Right.
And so I helped him start American Energy Partners up until his passing in 2016. I helped him arrange his original capital, which really was an incredible success story in 3 years, how big those businesses he grew. And so that is a guy that you can't outwork a guy like Aubrey McClendon. So that tenacity, that drive between my dad and Aubrey, I think really is, those two guys have been great mentors to me.
Big personalities and
Big
make
personality.
a big splash.
You got it.
Did you, when you were in the private sector, as you gone through this, as far as management and finding the right people and the pains and struggles through that, how's that been? Finding good people, and have you learned how to filter those people out?
Well, I really have. I mean, I think, I have a rule inside like my businesses. Number one, you get a lot more done when you don't care who gets the credit.
Right.
We don't have titles in our businesses. It's one big team. And so, yeah, I learned that from Aubrey, from my dad, humility, being authentic, just roll your sleeves up and get, these problems that whether you're faced in business or the state or wherever they might be, they're very solvable. And so there's a lot of great people in Oklahoma. And I've just been and I do talk to people a lot. When you're a trooper, hands and body language keep you alive. I mean, eyes can't kill you, hands can, but body language is the same thing. And so I've been blessed to have been a trooper. Body language, survivability, you can read people really well. And so that's actually carried on in my private sector experiences as well.
Now that your kids are older, how do you juggle? Do you make all the ball games, the dance recitals between business and now running for public office? How do you manage that?
So it's hard.
Yeah.
There's no question. So one rule of thumb, Sunday's my Sabbath day, being with my family. Obviously yesterday, most important week in Christianity. The last week we just celebrated through Easter. It was an awesome day with my family and celebrating Christ and, beautiful weather we had. So Sunday is always my Sabbath day and my family day.
You make time, block it off.
Every Sunday, I don't do anything. Like Sunday is our family day. It has been a little bit harder. I have a son that plays high school girls, or a daughter who plays high school girls basketball, a son who plays travel baseball.
Oh, man.
I love being in the gym. I love being at the ballpark. That it's been a little harder to make every single thing because I've been growing up from political parents, I've almost overcorrected because they were gone so much. But I was 15 at the time. My sisters are older than me. I've got young kids and they expect their dad to be around. They need their dad to be around. So my wife is pulling double duty right now, and she is just a saint for being able to do it. But any of them I can make. We do have a priority here on our team and our family schedule. To the extent I can do it, we try to make all of them.
Do you?
For me.
When you go, do you have to stand outside of right field or something so nobody sees you? Or?
No, I love people. So
you just go sit in the
hey, I just might not look them in the eye, and I'm looking at the field, but I can talk.
Are the other parents and stuff on y'all's team, they're good about, hey, he's dad today?
They are, but they want to talk and hear how things are going, and I love it. I really do. People are such a huge asset in our state. We got great people, and when you really get a chance to talk to them and what's on their mind? What are they concerned about? You learn a lot.
Sure. Yeah. So going up, what's the seed for running for governor? As you've kind of talked about some of
Yep.
it, the leadership and public safety and things like that. So what made you to kind of decide to go for governor?
So probably about a year and a half ago, several people said you ought to think about running for governor. So is I tell people, I certainly have an idea of what it means to win. I would not be doing this if I were not in this to win it. I say that because I watched my dad do it. And so it is a toll on the family. And so it's a big job. And so as I've talked through it with my wife, we know what those sacrifices are, but they're worth it for Oklahoma. So as I went through the thought process, it was not an instant yes. And people ask a lot, well, why'd you wait to get in the race till October? And the short answer is because I could have been convinced not to run. However, what was going to convince me not to run was that there was someone that was going to not talk about the issues during a campaign cycle and actually go fix the problems that we hear everyone campaigning on. And so not saying no initially is because I knew who was going to be in the race. And talking offline, I don't like this notion of office hoppers. They get in one job, right? And they campaign on something. They get there and they don't go fix what they're campaigning on. They're thinking about their next job. And so for me, I didn't want to support anybody like that. I wanted someone that I really believed in was running for the right reasons, selfless reasons, not for self-promotion, not for ego, but to actually go fix the problems in Oklahoma. And when it became clear to my wife and I, it was not a knee-jerk reaction.
That person wasn't coming out that you.
It was clear to me that this field was pretty well established by August. And my wife and I spent about 10 months talking through if we were to do this, what's it look like on our family? So it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. So when it was clear in August that no one else was going to do it, sometimes the very challenge we're looking for is staring you in the face, daring you to take it on. So we
Not
did
wanting
it.
to back down from something that's hard.
No, I like a good challenge.
Yeah.
And so timing's everything. And so you want to peak momentum is important. And our message is very different than anybody else's. I don't have the office hopper issue. Come from a political family, but never held public office. I've served and been appointed and confirmed by the Senate, and very proud of that service for the things we just talked about. But our time's now in Oklahoma. We are at a crossroads where if we don't get this right, we're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. What do you see, as far as just like your top 5 issues? What do you think? Where's Oklahoma at, and where do we need to be, do you think?
Well, I would say the largest issue is education. And we've heard a lot of politicians talk about education over the years. And so just looking at where we are, we're 50th in literacy. We're number 1 per capita incarcerated. And that's important to hit. Those two statistics are directly correlated. And literacy, an emphasis K through 3rd literacy, benchmarks, phonics, teaching coaches. We passed the Reading Proficiency Act in 2012, and we've heard the Mississippi Miracle. And I tell people, a miracle is unexplainable. Nothing miraculous happened in Mississippi. It's common sense. They adopted their form of reading proficiency and had the courage to hold the line when it's not easy. We repealed it in 2014.
We backed off of it some, or?
We totally repealed it. And so as we think about how important literacy is, it's a foundation and everything. 1 in 4 of our 8th graders in the state of Oklahoma are illiterate. And so we think about the number 1 per capita incarcerated. That metric suggests 1 in 4 of our 8th graders are going to end up in our prison system.
Each other.
100%. That is the uttermost failure. We put more money in public education than we ever have. Records amount. From 2018 on, and we've gone backwards in the metrics. It's not working. We've abandoned literacy. If you can't read after 3rd grade, you don't go to 4th grade. And I tell people, Texas figured this out in 1990. They were having an incarceration crisis, and they couldn't figure out, why are we having to build more prisons? They hired a consultant to come in and study this, and they probably paid them a ton of money to tell them this. And they said, you're socially promoting 3rd graders. If you don't break that cycle, you might as well build a prison cell for them when they're 18, because they're going to be your tenant.
It's true.
Common sense.
You can't learn. What is it? read to learn, and then
Learn to read.
learn to read, and then read to learn.
Yeah,
after
no,
that.
that's exactly right.
Makes sense.
And how do we make better healthcare outcomes for ourselves long term? 48th in healthcare. Literacy. How do you break systemic poverty? Literacy. Literacy really is the foundation of
That's
life,
right there.
and Oklahoma's totally failed. That's the number one issue. Sorry, you asked me
one.
more than
Yeah,
that.
yeah, well-
So yeah, that's number one. Then I would say number two, you also look at Mississippi, and it's easy to use Mississippi as as an example today because Mississippi 10 years ago was 50th, almost in a lot of the metrics. And here we are, Oklahoma, we've taken that title, which is not a good title.
Right.
We used to point to Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana, at least we're not them, treading water. That's not what, today they look to us and go, at least we're not Oklahoma.
Right.
Mississippi's per capita GDP just surpassed the UK. They got rid of their income tax. And so as we talk about modernizing taxes in Oklahoma, it hadn't been done in 100 years. We don't need to do science experiments. Common sense, good public policy is replicatable. We shouldn't go take risk and take chance in doing good public policy. Let's just go do it. Other states we can point to has done it. Medical marijuana is a disaster in Oklahoma. And so we passed State Question 788 in 2018. The legislature has totally failed on this. They have not done anything to tighten this up and make it medical. And so now we have 1,400 grows, 2,800 dispensaries, 1,200 of the 1,400 are illegal. The Chinese Communist Party, the Sinaloa cartel, the Russian mob, the Irish mob, these are folks that are operating these illegal grows all over our state. This is crazy. Oklahoma produced 77 million pounds of marijuana last year. Wow. We accounted for 2 million pounds. 75 million pounds of black market marijuana came out of Oklahoma. That's 60% of all black market
country.
right here in Oklahoma. And so again, now let's point to Arkansas. They have medical marijuana. They have a doctor-patient relationship. They have 9 grows. They have 38 dispensaries, and the dispensaries are like pharmacies. So we passed it through a ballot initiative in 788, but the legislature has totally failed on this. And we haven't done anything to tighten this up. And so now it's a wild, wild west, and that's leading to a major mental health crisis in our state. We have a homelessness crisis in our state. This is not the marijuana of the 60s and 70s. This stuff is highly, highly potent, creates psychosis, 60% THC. And what are we doing about it? And so I tell people, what I'm going to do about it, day one, is declare a public safety emergency and activate the National Guard. No different than we did in 2020. We're going to give the Sheriff's Department, the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics, the Highway Patrol, they're short resources right now. We know where these bad actors are. They need the resources and the help to go cut the head off of this snake. And we need to go seize the land. These are not our friends. They're not our citizens. These are our enemies. And get this land back to the courthouse steps and back in the hands of the rightful owners, Oklahomans.
Kind of agree with that. We need to wrangle that in a little bit for sure.
If you travel all over the state, all 77 counties, this is not something that is, say, unique to North. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. And what I tell people, these criminal organizations, the face of it might be marijuana. You have methamphetamine production, you have fentanyl production, you have human trafficking, you have sex trafficking, you have money laundering. There are a lot of bad things that are going on as a result of Oklahoma introducing this into our state.
We're in this whole supply chain of.
So whole supply. I mean, Oklahoma produced 60% of all black market marijuana in the United States came out of Oklahoma last year.
Scary.
These are not statistics we should celebrate.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. What do you think? Smart tax policy, we talk about that. There's some focus on property tax. That's the popular thing to say. Income tax as well, getting more in line or under our neighbors.
Sorry, I'm a big coffee guy.
What do you think should we go to property tax, income tax, both?
Well, I think we need to talk about both. There's a real push around, total elimination of ad valorem taxes, property taxes. I would caution people the idea of being free from the government long term. I mean, the American dream is home ownership, total home ownership, not having a mortgage on it and not being free of paying the government annual property taxes. So you're never really free when you pay taxes. I totally agree with that. I would caution people by saying all 50 states, this is an issue all across the United States. No one's figured it out yet.
Right.
How to totally eliminate property taxes. No different than ballot initiatives, State Question 788. We need to be very cautious around passing and voting for an initiative petition, a ballot initiative without a plan behind it. So I would not be supportive of taking this to a vote of the people without a plan behind it, because look, no further than marijuana, no further than State Question 780 and 781. That decriminalized a lot of hard drugs, and we've gone way too far left on these. And so I think we should be very cautious there. I've been very public that we need to freeze property taxes for seniors 65 and up. I think that is something we should for sure do. But right now, ad valorums are the sole funder for public education.
Right.
Public education is half of Oklahoma's budgetary spend every year. And not to say that our educational system, we don't need to totally get into the weeds on how we're spending this money. I think the state of Oklahoma doesn't have a revenue problem. I think it has a spending problem. I think Oklahoma is the definition of big government. We have 380 agencies in our state. I'm going to pick on Arkansas again. They had 258 years ago. They have 15 today.
Wow.
And it's not that they gut services. They modernize the government, make things more efficient for the people. And I think Oklahoma's, frankly, not in a far enough along place yet. Florida's talking about getting rid of property taxes. Well, Florida, that's an economy of its own.
Right.
They're a no income tax state. I think we really need to start, what are the net drivers for population shifts and trends? Because people are moving failed policy states, blue states, and they're doing it in droves. And Oklahoma's picking up on some of those wins, but not at the level we should. So where are people moving? And there was an article in the Wall Street Journal last weekend. I mean, those top 5 states, probably no surprise, it's Florida, it's Texas, it's Tennessee, it's Mississippi, it's Arkansas, it's South Dakota, it's Nevada. I mean, what are all?
No income tax?
No income tax. All of those states have no income tax. So we need to start there. And, you know, little things, we got to start thinking differently. How are we going to pay for infrastructure? We do need to think about infrastructure. I rolled out probably a week or so ago. So we're the lowest motor vehicle fuel sales tax state in the nation. So I do not want to see, that's 20 cents a gallon. Right now, gas prices are a really big thing and hurting people, rightfully so. I mean, the Middle East is at war, we're at war, prices are high. We don't need to increase our 20 cents a gallon motor vehicle fuel sales tax, but the national average is 48 cents a gallon. And so as I think about Oklahoma, who are the hardest culprits on our infrastructure? Let's transient travel coming through our state. Well, they're getting a free ride. So there are ways, every time you and I go fill up the car, you put your credit card in the machine, they ask for your zip code. Well, I sold a payment processing business about 5 years ago. Let's geofence all zip codes in Oklahoma. You pay 20 cents. And if you're an outside zip code, you pay the national average. Think about that revenue opportunity. Let's direct that to an infrastructure fund so we can start being proactive on infrastructure.
Sort of like an in-state or out-of-state hunting and fishing license or something?
No different than that.
Because
And
there are the crossroads of America, so
we absolutely are.
tens of thousands of cars coming through.
40, 35, 44, you got it. I mean, we are a big distribution state, a lot of transient travel, hard on our infrastructure. Let's just get to the national average. We want to make this place super attractive to be, but right now we're giving it away. And so little things like that, I think we've got to be smart of. Oklahoma has killed ourselves. I mean, the oil and gas industry is the #1 industry in the state, $60 billion a year in GDP impact. So we see Devon and Chesapeake leave 6 weeks ago. Within a period of a week, they both announced they're leaving. There's a quote in the Petroleum Alliance that I thought it really stuck out to me, and it was from an anonymous executive in Houston. He said, "The Houston skyline over the years has been built on the backs of bad policy decisions coming out of Oklahoma and Louisiana." We got to wake up. We were once the oil and gas capital of the United States. We were, between Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Bartlesville, Ponca City. Yeah. We were the hub. So what's happened? Nothing happened 6 weeks ago. It was series of bad public policy decisions our states made where we're not an attractive place for oil and gas companies to be. I think we can turn that metric around. Let's give oil and gas companies a reason to be here. Let's give them incentives through gross production taxes. If they operate here and they're headquartered here, let's give them an incentive to be here. Instead of every single time, and it's happened over the last 40 years, we get into a budget crisis in Oklahoma, the first place the legislature turns to is the oil and gas industry. You got it. We always turn to the oil and gas industry and just assume we need to stick it on them. Instead of making good decisions as a state and as leadership, getting big government more efficient for the people. Like, we keep growing and growing and growing, and we pride ourselves on being a conservative red state, but we govern like Democrats here. And it's enough's enough. And Arkansas's done it. I mean, we can do the hard things, but I can point to failure after failure. We passed 788 in 2018. The first thing we did, we created the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. And you tell me if they're doing a good job, if this place produced 77 million pounds last year and they accounted for 2 million, that, and I'm not a statistical guy, that's an F.
Right.
Maybe an F minus, minus, minus.
Too many agencies, too much agency overlap.
Too much bureaucracy. You got it.
So as far as if you win this election, what do you see? How do you balance your business life, your personal life? Because it becomes a full-time job.
Yeah,
Does the family come with you? They move in? How do you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, the full-time job is the family. There's no job more important than the family.
Sure.
So the family's 100% on board. So I'm divesting of my businesses, doing that right now.
I don't require to by law, or can you still operate your businesses?
I don't know. I think it depends what kind of businesses you're in. I'm in private businesses. I know when the governor, he has a bank. I think you have to put things in blind trusts, et cetera. Right. I mean, obviously you can't have conflicts of interest. You got it. But I think the best way to avoid conflicts is just don't have conflicts.
Sure.
And so I'm going to step away from the private sector. I want to be governor only, and I'm going right back to this private sector. When we're sitting in my office, this isn't a stepping stone for me. This is, I want to go fix our state. These are very fixable issues, but leadership style is going to really matter in how we get there. So I'm going to walk away from my businesses. My family's going to be with me. The most important thing to me, my wife's my best friend, my confidant, my kids, they're going to be with me all the way. And I'm going to balance being a really good husband and a good dad and being a really effective governor.
Are your kids now, do y'all shield them from social media or TV? What do they say when they see something about dad? Any negative things?
Yeah, and I think we've got them ready for that. What's unfortunate about politics, we were talking offline before, I love baseball. I love balls and strikes. And so, if you have a record, you ought to be able to defend it. Good, bad, or indifferent,
sure.
Right? I don't believe in the mudslinging in politics, but it's pretty unfortunate today. It's almost the norm. So we've talked to our kids about it. You can't believe everything you're going to see on TV because it's probably going to be very sensationalized. But I think we do a good job. We keep our kids off of social media. We only do our social media through our campaign, try to keep that really tight and turn off the noise. We try to do that anyways as parents. I mean, social media can be a really dangerous spot for young kids, especially. And we try to spend as much time as we can outside of sports, hunting, fishing. We love being out. Oh, yeah. We love being out on our ranch. We just started raising quail. I love land management. My kids love it. So any chance we get where we turn off is we go escape into the woods.
I was going to ask you what y'all do for fun. Sounds like that, right?
The woods.
You get away from the noise.
Yeah, my favorite time of the year is coming up. It's turkey season. I love to turkey hunt. And I'm more of a turkey guide now. I love to take kids turkey hunting.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
I've actually started learning how to mouth call.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. without a call.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I'm good enough to go to a contest, but I'm good enough to call birds in.
Working on your side talent there.
There's my side talent. Yeah, but I love being in the woods. I love putting a ghillie suit on, getting under a tree, and I love the experience up close and personal with the turkeys.
The connection to the earth type deal.
That's my deal.
Does your wife's day to day? Is she a political person? Is she the homemaker type deal? How much does she want to be out front with you?
So balancing, like tonight, we have a forum tonight. She tries to support me and do that. It just depends where we are because last week we were in Altus for a couple of days, and Sarah was awesome. We got to go to a parade out in Sarah on Saturday. We brought the whole family. We even brought the
I
dogs.
saw that on social media.
Yeah, so
That's fun.
it just depends what day of the week. Weekends, I want to be with my family.
Sure.
So I want them to travel. I think you'll see more of them leading up to the next 70 days of the primary. But obviously, I've got 3 kids in school, Monday through Friday. School's most important. They play sports. Brittany, I call her Britt, a great supporter. Anywhere she can be with me, she's there to support me. But her number one job is pulling double duty right now with the kids.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
As far as you personally, are you a reader? Are you a podcast listener? I know right now life is crazy, but before, are you a daily Bible reader or devotional guy? What's your day?
I am. So my faith is very central. I listen to one of the podcast apps. That's my Bible reading every morning. And I usually listen to about a 15-minute devotional at about 5:30 to 6 in the morning. That gets me going. I do like to read. I don't get to read nearly as much that I used to, but I like to stay very informed on daily events. So I read the newspaper quite a bit, but you just accurately picked up on it. I don't get to read nearly as much. I mean, when the day starts, right now I still balance a little bit of my business between the grind of the campaign starting, which starts pretty early every day, and then it's nonstop all day, every day. We get home late at night, and I'm pretty exhausted. I like to spend time debrief with my wife, and then any free time we get. I mentioned to you, Sundays are Sabbath day. I have a spiritual mentor, who's a very good friend of mine, checks in on me once a week. And he told me before we had firmly made the decision to get into this, he said, I'm going to call you once a week. And he said, and if you avoid my call, I'm going to keep calling you. And this was last September. And he said, if you give one day to the Lord, he'll give you 8. And he said, so your Sabbath day needs to be Sunday. You need to be at church, be with your family, go eat with them, and be a father, turn off. And so I really do. And it's hard to do it.
Sure.
Turn that phone off, turn that iPad off. And, Charlie Kirk lived by that. Sunday, turn it all off. And then Monday morning, it'll all be there for you when you wake up.
It's very hard to do because it consumes us.
It does.
We get our entertainment, our news, our communication.
It does.
Through that.
But I will tell you what's gotten me through this. Yeah, I do not miss church. And if you can have that spiritual reset every week, I mean, there is a lot of truth to one day to the Lord and he'll give you 8.
Keeps you sane a little bit.
It does. It does keep me sane.
What would a young man coming up, trying to figure out his way in the world, any best piece of advice, any quotes or anything you can think of?
Well, I really do. And you hear people talk about hard work, et cetera. But I think humility, be authentic, be real. You get a lot more done when you don't care who gets the credit. No ego. Work hard, persistence, drive, and don't ever let no be a failure. Just keep fighting. That's what I did starting as a young trooper, and it honestly made me who I am today. And I've got a son who's actually interested in being a trooper, and I would absolutely embrace that, and I'd be the proudest dad in the world if he went and did that. So work hard, tell the truth, and I have a saying, you don't have to remember what you said when you tell the truth.
Hey, that's a good point.
And so that's one of my favorite quotes to live by every day. Wake up and tell the truth.
Well, in closing, how can people reach your website, social media? What's the best way for people to follow?
Yeah, so we're on social media, but Keating2026.com. We've got a lot of momentum. We're about 70 days out. We're traveling the state. If you get on our website, reach out. I will personally call you back. I've made it a point to give out my number to anybody in the state. Sometimes it takes me 2-3 days to get back to you and it gets busy, but I think what's unique about Oklahoma, we're a lot closer than people think, and we're 1 degree of separation from knowing one another. That makes us special. And so I believe the next governor of Oklahoma and under a Governor Keating administration, you should be fully accessible to the people that you're serving. And so that's how we've run our campaign. But please get on our website, look us up. Follow us on social media. I know we're on X, Twitter, and Facebook. I don't know all the handles. I'm sure you can find them real quickly at Keating2026.com.
Sure.
But we're active. We're all over the state. We're going to continue working hard, and we're not going to lay off the gas, and we're going to go win this for a greater Oklahoma. And I always close by saying, if any of the gentlemen I was running against were going to fix the problems that we've just talked about, why hadn't they done it already?
Good point. Yeah. Well, thanks for carving out a little time for us. I know you got a forum to go to.
We
I
do.
appreciate it getting to know you a little bit, and I hope
Yes, sir.
our listeners and viewers get to know you a little bit. So,
Well, look us up. We'd love to talk to you on the phone, and we'd love to come see you wherever you are in Oklahoma, because chances are we'll be there soon.
sounds good, Chip. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.